The poster on the left shows a family that is helping to harvest the crops. The people are working together to help the U.S. military from hunger. Most people in the U.S. helped by growing food for them, as this family is demonstrating. The poster on the right is showing different jobs that can be done to help with food production. Some of the jobs that the people are demonstrating in the poster was raising livestock and growing crops. These are two major ways that the people were helping with agricultural production. Since the employment services could not find enough people to participate with agricultural production, they closed businesses so the people could help during peak agricultural seasons, such as harvest time. Farmers waited anxiously for major price increases for farm products. The poster on the left shows 6 things to keep in mind when buying food. This is so important because they had to save food so that everyone, including the military, had food as well. These suggestions were made to help decrease the amount of wasted food. The poster on the right shows a dog that is taking too much food, and the chef does not want him to waste it. Portion control was an important part of the people's life so they would not waste food. It is always better to take smaller portions and eat all the food rather than take too much and have to throw it away. The paper on the left is from the U.S. OPA, Office of Price Administration, telling the people about the ration books. This page is important because it contains information about the importance of using ration books and to remind people to use them to purchase food and other items. It also limits the amount of items you can purchase at a time. The poster on the right shows a group of people that are using their ration books. This picture shows how important it is to use the ration books. The books were used so that everyone could get what they needed for their families. It was the only way to make sure there would be enough for everyone. Both of these posters are showing what the recycled metal is used for in the war. The poster on the left is showing that the metal is used for ships. The poster on the right is showing that the metal is used for weapon parts. The military depended on recycled metal for tanks, ships, and weapon parts. Most of the recycled metal came from scrap metal drives and toy companies. Scrap metal drives were held all across the country. They would collect old toys, old pots and pans, and bottle caps. The toy production was reduced so they can use the metal in the war.
During the war in the United States, millions of men had to abandon their jobs to fight. About 30,000 women had to take dangerous but well-paid jobs that men usually had. Many would work in factories while others built ships and airplanes. Rosie the Riveter was a patriotic worker displayed on a poster with a caption saying, "We can do it." She inspired women and children everywhere. United States women would move airplanes from factories to air base. Women would also act as test pilots for the airplanes. While about 60 million men were serving in the war, about 3 million women had to work jobs that men would usually have. They would be welders, riveters, or electricians. African Americans in urban areas had better job opportunities during the war, but because of their skin color, they had trouble finding jobs. President Roosevelt set a law that banned discrimination towards African Americans, but this law was sadly not followed. During the war, children in the United States would have gardens called victory gardens. These gardens were used to grow and sell crops to others. Children would take scraps of metal from schools or junkyards to give to the people who had to build ships and airplanes. Instead of unemployment issues, there was a shortage of people to work. Many people who had lived in poverty moved to big industry cities like Detroit, Los Angeles, and San Diego. Southern California soon became the fastest growing area in the country. More than 15 million people moved there during the war.
The role of sports. World War II, the Homefront. The military recruited and accepted many athletes to fight in the Army. They did this because the athletes were physically and mentally strong. Players like Ted Williams played in the MLB, served for the U.S. Army, and then came back to the MLB. Sports played on normally. Football, baseball, basketball, and golf were televised. U.S. religion during the World War II Homefront. The United States practiced Christianity, Judaism, and other ethnic groups practiced home religions, such as the Chinese practiced their own religion, and so did the Japanese. and African Americans followed their own religion. Jews held 24-hour services, and Christians held church every Sunday. The role of ethnic minorities. Ethnic minorities served in the military. Some Mexicans served, as well as African Americans, Chinese Americans, and Japanese Americans. They fought as pilots, foot soldiers, and they fought in the Navy. These ethnicities were prohibited against fighting their home places.